Okay, so nice to see everybody, my favorite people. So this week is Parashat Matot-Masei, and it's a double portion. Matot? Masei.
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Matot and Masei, so it's talking about, it's two Torah portions together that we are combining. And anytime that the Shlach HaKadosh says that whenever you have a Torah portion, it always reflects as well the time of year. And the Rebbe often quoted this, that the Torah portion very much reflects the time of year. So we are now in the Bein HaMitzorim, which we spoke about last week. We're in the time period, the constricted time period of the 3 weeks, mourning the destruction of the temple, the first and the second temple, first and second Beit HaMikdash. And so it's interesting that this week's Torah portion is talking about travels. It's talking about the travels, it's reviewing the travels of the Jewish people. It also has in it about Benot Slav Chad, which we spoke about again last week, how they asked for their own portion. They were the trailblazers who got up to Moshe and said, our father has no sons, so we want a portion. And they loved Eretz Yisrael. They loved the land of Israel because they were from the tribe of Manasseh. So they could have easily taken a part outside of Eretz Yisrael, which was given to whoever wanted. But they wanted specifically in Eretz Yisrael proper, not outside of the Jordan River, but inside Eretz Yisrael. And that's why they approached Moshe and they were granted this portion. And in this week's Torah portion, we're told that they married from their own tribe, from the tribe of Manasseh, so that the portion that they were granted from their father, because every tribe had a certain portion, and it was divided according to the amount of men in that tribe, and that the sons that he had, and so forth. And since he did not have sons, their father, it was given to them instead. But they made sure to marry within the tribe of Manasseh, so that the portion of Manasseh should stay for the tribe of Manasseh. Now, I mention this just because it's interesting. We see that these are the traveling of Bnei Yisrael, the traveling of the Jewish people. They are now right at the Yarden, right ready on the plains of Moab, right by the Yarden, ready to enter into the land of Israel, right? And this is where the whole portion, the whole book of Bamidbar ends. And the next book, which is going to be Devarim, is more like a review that Moshe reviews with them at the end of his life, all the different laws, all the different mitzvot, the different parts of their travels, different stories that happen through their travels, and the mitzvot that he wants to review to them. But this is like the very end, right before they're about to enter into Eretz Yisrael. And so it's interesting to see what is happening here. Now, according to the Baal Shem Tov, the travels that the Jewish people had then also reflect the travels that we have in our own lives. They had 42 different destinations that they went to from the time that they left Egypt until they entered Eretz Yisrael. And he says these are different stages in our own personal lives, and we're going to talk about some of them, how we can see some of them. These are different stages in our own personal lives. And the Alter Rebbe also says that these stages that they went through from Mitzrayim until they're going into Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, are the stages that we go through as the Jewish people as a whole in our Jewish history. These are the things that we've gone through until we get to the final stage, which is right there, waiting to go into the land of Israel, right across the Yarden Yericho, ready to go in to enter the land of Israel and to be there in the time period of Mashiach, where we rebuild the Beit HaMikdash and we have the final redemption. So this is the end of the Jewish history. And it's interesting that we see at the very end of the Jewish history, we have mentioned the daughters of Slav Chad, and they're the ones that knew a lot of Torah, they understood the Torah, and that's how they were able to approach Moshe and to ask for a portion for themselves in the land of Israel. And why were they asking for themselves? Because the men at that time, there were no men, there were no brothers of theirs, they did not have brothers. But we see specifically that it's the voice of the woman, the Jewish woman, at the very end that is very prominent, that takes a stand, that shows with their love of Israel They went up to Moshe and said, we want a part in the land of Israel. When the Meraglim, the spies, had said, don't go up into Eretz Yisrael, it's too hard to conquer, the fruit is too big, they're going to kill us. They said, no, we want to enter Israel. We want a part in the land. And this is reminiscent of the stage that we're in right now, where the voices of the Jewish woman are prominent. And this is really a time in history where you didn't see the voices of women. We're talking about a long stage in history, but think about when it became legal, and even in America, which is the land of the free and the land of the liberal. When did it become legal for a woman to vote, for a woman's voice? Exactly. So we're talking about this period,
In Israel, it was when Israel was established.
That's in Israel, that's true, because we're always ahead. But I'm saying in the world at large, even in America, which is such a free state,
Yes.
it's free for everybody, freedom of religion, everyone is considered an equal, and yet everyone's an equal except the women were not an equal. So we see that this is, and the whole feminist movement, of course, was established in the 60s and 70s, and this is the time period when the rise of the feminine voice. And it's happening in the secular world because this is the power of the Jewish woman in the religious world, in the Torah world, in the way that the Torah understands it spiritually. The voice of the woman is coming up. The voice of the woman is being heard. The voice of the woman it's preparing us for that time period when Mashiach does come, when it says in the prophecies, Mikeva tisobev gever, the feminine will surround or encompass or overpower the masculine, meaning the qualities of the feminine are going to shine, the qualities of the feminine will be appreciated. Up until now, the feminine qualities have not been so appreciated. Even in today, we're still not seeing it.
Exactly.
We're still in exile. We're not there yet. But we are already seeing the voice of the woman rising, the voice of the Jewish woman. And that's why it specifically mentions them here in Parshas, last week in Parshas Pinchas, and here in Parshas Matot-Masei, the very end, right before they're about to enter the land of Israel, because it's talking about the different stages of the Jewish people's travels, and according to Jewish history, the stages. So this is the stage that we're in right now, right about to enter the land of Israel. With Mashiach, of course. And that doesn't mean that we can't live in Israel, but right now, enter the land of Israel with Mashiach and with the building the Beit HaMikdash for the time period of the Geula, the Shlema, the eventual redemption. Now, it says that they were camped on Yarden, right across from Yarden Yericho, right across from the Yericho. And if you look at the word Yericho, it has in it Reach. Right? Yericho is Reach.
Yeah.
And what does Reach mean?
Reach, smell.
Smell, exactly. And the reason why it talks about us being right at right across from Yericho, right about to enter the land of Israel, is talking about the stage that we're in now as well. Right before the coming of Mashiach, it says Mashiach, it says V'haricho b'yirat Hashem. He will judge people according to his sense of smell. It's like you sometimes say you can sniff them out. You could smell that there's someone crooked here, or you could smell that there's something funny going on here. It's even a phrase that we say in English. What does it mean? It means like it's a very subtle. You don't necessarily have obvious evidence for it, but it's a very deep, intuitive feeling. Like dogs can have that sense of smell, but when a person has that sense of smell, it means that deep down you have this intuitive feeling of what's right and wrong. And Mashiach is going to have that intuitive feeling, that sense of right and wrong, that he'll be able to even smell out the evil, the negativity, the bad amongst us. That is how perceptive and how the spiritual aspects of life will shine so strongly in that time. And so therefore it also says that we're right here, opposite Yarden Yericho, right opposite Yericho, because this is talking about, according to Jewish history, the stage that we're in right now, where you can almost feel Mashiach in the air. It's almost here. There's so many things that are happening, miracles happening, of course, terrible things as well, but that's all been prophesied. It's all part of what's supposed to be happening. And this is the last final stage right before we're about to enter. So this is where we're in right now, and this is the stage that we're in on a a level, a national level of Jewish history, what we've gone through. We've gone through so many journeys as a nation. We've gone through so many ups and downs and difficulties. And personally, this is talking about in our own personal lives as well. You look around the table and you could actually see everyone's, we all have some scars on our faces of things, battle scars of what we've gone through in life, based on what we've gone through in our own personal lives, what we've gone through, the ups and the downs, how we've gone through it all. This is our own personal journeys that we've all been through. And this is where we're at right now. And when you talk about these...
Can I talk about,
Sure.
Do you think that, is there possible that, even though this has been prophesized, could some of it be, how like in Egypt, we were slaves for only 86 years, what I mean, not only, but, because they worked us so hard. So could it be that a lot is happening now, like a lot of the, horror, because maybe Hashem is speeding it up for us? Is there any truth to that? Or
Absolutely. Well, even the time period of when it's supposed to happen, it says Mashiach will come bi'ito achishena. He will come in his time, or achishena, or I'll make him go quicker. But the Rebbe has said we've already passed all the deadlines.
Right, okay.
So all the deadlines have already,
Imagine
we're
now.
already at the end. But even in that time period of the end, which is right where we're at right now, it could come faster or slower. It's a process, and it's a process that's developing, that we see the prophecies unfold, we see it's what's happening, but even within that process, it could happen very quickly. It's like you can take in Shabbos early, or you can wait till the last minute, but it's up to us to get it a little bit faster, that achishena, that hurrying it up, that making it come faster.
Let me ask you something. The establishment of Israel, it doesn't have anything to do with, the Mashiach that is coming, or
Of course it
one
does.
step
Sure.
forward.
Of course,
Yes?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
That's it's part of the prophecies.
Yes.
It's like Israel was vacant for so
Yes.
many years. It wasn't
Yes.
only vacant, it was like
Taking over.
completely taken over, and it was not an established land, it was not a thriving land. No one was there. Even Jews, there were pockets of Jews that
There
were
were
lived there. There
Jews
were
there,
always Jews that were lived there, always. But not like today, where you have from all the four corners of the world, for the four corners of the earth, Jews are flocking to Israel.
Yes.
That's all part of the prophecies of the Jews returning to the land of Israel. So much so that even Christians are saying, this is how kind of Christians woke up, and they say, it's impossible. According to Christian doctrine, the Jewish people we know we're the chosen people.
Yes.
Christianity always said that no, it changed. It's not the Jewish people. The Jewish people sinned, and therefore their chosenness has stopped. God got angry at them, and now they're no longer the chosen people, and that's how the whole Christianity came about. Even today, they can't say that anymore, because they're saying this is obviously the Jewish people. So the doctrine kind of adapts and changes, but even they're saying the land of Israel is, and that's why you see so many evangelical Christians who want to convert us who are so pro-Israel, because
Yes.
they feel this is part of the prophecies that happen, because they know the prophecies that are in the Bible, that are in our Bible as well. Yes, so of course, it's definitely
Okay.
part of it. And that,
But speeding it up is still hundreds of thousands of years.
no, because
6,000.
the year 6000 is when it's Shabbat already. That's when it's already Shabbat. It has to come before Shabbat. We light candles before Shabbat comes. And so we're already I'm not going to give you the exact dates. There are people who do figure out the dates and figure it out, including one of them is my husband. But I'm not going to
Oh,
say.
really?
Yeah,
So he has to come
and give you a class one day. Yeah. But we're already we're
Already at what,
we're-
5,785.
Yes.
To get to 6,000.
No, but it's 6,000 is 6,000 is already when we have Acharit Hayamim, which means that it's already Olam Haba. Sorry, not Acharit Hayamim, it's Olam Haba, which already means that's already a stage where we're living in a very different kind of life. It's a very different kind of life. But Mashiach has to come way before then to prepare us, and we're talking about hundreds of years before then. So we're yes. Yeah, we're there. We're there. It's a matter of like right now. We're really there. We are definitely the generation, and this is it, and this is
We are the
happening.
generation?
We are that generation, and it's happening. No. At that time is already like.
Within the 200 years.
No, we're talking about like now. Now, yes. Like within the net. Don't do any major renovations in your house.
No,
We're
okay.
talking about like that.
Our houses come with us.
Our houses will come with us, yes. But we're talking about like if you want to redo. A friend of mine asked my husband, should I like resurface my pool? And he's like, act as if like, would you do that if you would know that like within 5 years you're out of here? Like, is that what you would do or not? You know, so that's what we're up to. Like,
So what is it, to sit and do nothing?
so no, what we have to do,
No.
everything that we do
Exactly.
affects everyone.
Exactly.
We're
Yeah.
all spiritual, we're all connected, we're all bodies, the same bodies of the same, you know, we're all the same soul. We're all little, our own bodies of the same soul. So everything that we do affects the entire world. And good continues to amass. So good is something that's always everlasting. So that, you know, the more good that there is in the world, the more it's rising and rising and rising. Bad or evil is not something, it's not real. So evil does not continue, but good continues and amasses, and there's more and more and more of it. And we've already had for all the generations of all what the Jewish people have gone through. So what we have to do good, but do good not even so much so that we'll be zocha, so we'll merit it, but so that you'll be ready. In other words, you want to do good so that you can appreciate it. Like, for example, on Erev Shabbat, you know, you're cooking and all the food is cooked, but you want to get into that frame of mind. It's not like, oh, if I don't cook, I'm not going to have the food. The food is going to already be there. It's already, we've done so much good already in the world that there's going to be all the good. But you want to be in that frame of mind that you can appreciate it. If you're all frazzled and if you're not, you know, in the mode of like Shabbat and preparing yourself and understanding what Shabbat is, like, will you appreciate it? Yeah, you'll appreciate it, but not the way that if you actually think about what is the atmosphere of Shabbat, what does it mean, what does my connection on Shabbat mean? When you learn about it, when you study it, you can understand it. So we're all going to experience it, but how much will you experience it? How deeply will you experience it? Will you prepare yourself to really feel that feeling? You know, there's different ways that people understand things. A child will understand things on a certain level, an adult on a different level. So we want to be like the adults that can really appreciate what we're seeing, what's unfolding in front of our eyes. And that's the purpose of this class that we learn here today. And this is the purpose of any kind of mitzvah that you do. You're becoming spiritually attuned to it so that you can appreciate it and feel it. And when it actually happens, we're all going to be a part of it, but you can be so much more a part of it. You know, that's, yes.
Wow.
So I'm getting old. Will I know you are?
Yeah, sure.
Like all the rest of us.
Once we're gone?
Well, you know, once we're,
You're coming with us, what are you talking
Right, is
about?
that where
Yeah.
you
This is
guys?
nonsense.
No, you're having memories, aren't you? I think, right? Don't you have your memories? Like,
What?
Yeah.
You'll learn, you'll know. Yeah.
What do you mean, you're hearing it and well?
And then-
Marlene, you're here and well and healthy. We're talking about like now. We're not talking about like 10, 20 years from now. We're talking now.
So exciting.
We're gonna go, we won't need roads. We're going.
Yeah.
Like the Jetsons?
Yeah, we're like in Back to the Future, we don't need roads.
Yes, it's a very exciting time. You know, we just have to like look forward and we can really experience it and really feel it because we're there. We're out there. Like we've suffered a lot until now. The Jewish people have suffered a lot, but we're at that stage where we're there. So,
This happy now.
so that's, you know, that's all of us. Now, when we think about it on a personal level, what we've gone through, the stages that we've gone through, that's the travels, the journeys that we've gone through, the whole purpose of exile, the purpose of what we've gone through till now to get there, the purpose of our personal exiles and the personal challenges that we've had. The whole reason for all of this is in order to make this aliyah, this elevation, to become higher. So it says the soul goes down to this world. It's in a beautiful, beautiful place. It's in a place full of spirituality, godliness, feeling godliness, but it comes down to this world, which is a concealed world. It's a world where we don't see God. God isn't so obvious. You have to look for him. You can see him if you look for him, but he's not. If you don't look for him, you don't see him. You can hide from him. You can pretend he's not there. He's not so obvious. You can't do that when the soul, when the place that the soul originates in. It's like obvious. You don't even feel like yourself. You're so a part of this godly energy. But when we come down to this world, godliness is concealed. And the whole purpose of that concealment is in order for us to look for God, for us to become better people, for us to overcome the challenges and create a change here in this world. We have changed this world. The reason for our exile, do you know why the Jewish people had to go all over to all the ends of the earth? So that we can bring godliness everywhere. That's why. That's why we were spread out everywhere.
That's why Chabad is there.
That's why Chabad is everywhere. Exactly. Everywhere. But
That's why they actually had to leave the Garden of Eden.
yes.
That's Eve knew, but Adam didn't understand it, but Eve figured it out, and that's
Exactly.
exactly why that whole thing happened. They had to leave to do this.
Exactly. So we all had this.
Yeah,
This
I
is
remember hearing
It's-
Rabbi Manus Friedman gave a lecture.
Yes.
I recently heard it.
Really? Isn't that wild?
100%. That's why, and because we needed to saturate everywhere, saturate the entire ends of the earth with godliness, with spirituality, with goodness. And we can only do that here in this world, physical bodies in a world that God's light is concealed. Now, God's light being concealed, if you think about it, it's like the sun shines in through that window, but you put the shade down and it shines in much less. And you put a double shade, it's even less. And you put a triple shade, finally, you have these blackout shades that kids sleep with where you can't even see the light, right? Right? Some of my grandkids, I need that.
Yeah, really.
So the light is still shining. It's God's light is still shining, but you're concealing it. You're not seeing it in this place because you've put these covers on it. And in order for God to create this world is called olam, which comes from helem, which means hiddenness. Olam mehelem.
Alem?
Helem.
Elem.
Helem.
Elem is a shock. This is Elem.
Ayin Lamed Mem.
Yes. Ne'elam. It's hidden.
נעלם.
זה מה זה? היא אמרה,
כן,
אלם.
לא,
Is it another way to say that there's a klipa around it?
Yes. In other words, this world is a place of hiddenness where we don't see godliness. It's a place where God is concealed in this world. And the whole point of that, and there's obviously levels of concealment. So klipa means like a shell. So it's a shell that's covering what's inside. And there's different levels of shells. There's different levels of coverings. So God's light is hidden in this world, and we have to find it. We're here in order to find it. We're here in order to uncover it. We're here in order to saturate all the ends of the earth with godliness. So the Jewish people are like leaving Mitzrayim, and they're going into the desert, a place where there's this hiddenness. That's exactly the metaphor of this world, this hiddenness where God isn't there. God is concealed in order to bring out the godliness, in order to bring out the godly light. And that's why we are doing all these travels in our personal lives. And the whole point of it, though, is because we create godliness in the world, and we create more godliness within ourselves, because we have an animalistic soul as well as a godly soul. And the point is that the godly soul influences the animalistic part of us, that self-preservation part of us, that part that just wants to exist and just wants to enjoy life. We teach it to have a higher purpose and a higher meaning. That's why we're all here. And that's why we've gone through all the journeys that we go through in our lives. And some of the journeys you don't see. You say, well, okay, some things I look back in my life and okay, I'm very proud of what I did and it looks good, right? It looks like I've done the right thing. Some journeys you don't see it. You don't see how, you might have done nothing wrong, but you don't see how you did anything right. You just don't see it. And worse, some journeys you've gone through and you say, oh boy, that was a big, I wish I could just like close the chapter on that one, because that was failure big time, right? And this is telling us that even those journeys were good journeys. Even those journeys which you think were so bad that you failed in were journeys that were getting you to the promised land. They were the journeys that you needed to go through, that your soul needed to go through. You might not see how it was in any way improving you, but this was journeys that God took you on to get to the promised land, to improve yourself, to create something better in yourself.
Does it have to do something with anti-Semitism that is going on now?
Well, anti-Semitism, yes. Anti-Semitism, it's
The whole world is
In front of
against
me at
that.
the time, I mean.
so
It's so scary.
when there is, what happens when there's evil in the world? Anti-Semitism is evil. What happens when there's evil? Evil perceives on a spiritual level that times are going to be changing
Okay.
and it's going to die. And as soon as, if you see like an animal, if you see a chicken that was shechted, after it's been shechted, what does it do? It goes like this.
I've never seen
Okay.
that.
Yeah, yeah, right, I'm with you.
Sometimes something that's on its last,
That's why, right, I remember.
something that's on its last leg will sometimes it will react.
It's
It will,
okay, we don't-
it will act out.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So that's the same thing as evil. It feels like it's being choked. It's being choked out of life. It's being suffocated. It senses, because evil has this sense, like we were talking about this reach, it has this sense that things are changing, that the Jewish people are blossoming, that this time period is coming, this era is coming. And when it feels that way, it's going to try to give its last breath. And how does it give its last breath? By all the anti-Semitism coming out. And you see very clearly in today's times, there's a division. And this is what it says. There's going to be division between good and bad. And you see that division very clearly amongst the non-Jews, those who are trying to be there for Israel, be there for the Jewish people, and those who are openly fighting it. We see this very clearly. And why are they fighting it though? Because this is their last breath, and they sense it. And when they sense it, they fight mightily, because
How do
they
you
have,
explain about
why
the
not?
Jews?
Why not fight
Fighting it.
mightily? Huh?
How do you explain about the
and
Jews
they
that
say
do fight it? I mean, what do you do? I mean.
So we see exactly the Erev. We see that there was a part of the Jewish people that joined when they left Mitzrayim, and that was called the Erev Rav, which is the multitude of the Egyptians. And they're the ones that caused all the problems throughout every time that there was a complaint, it was
Right,
from
they were
them.
involved.
And these people are not people who they're sometimes self-hating. They don't
Yeah,
know,
that's.
and they're not attuned to the symphony that we're in, this symphony of godliness that we're bringing into this world. We are ambassadors of light, bringing in this light to this world. And those who don't want to see that light, who can't stand the light, are calling out in the most aggressive way possible, because this is their last breath. This is it. So, so
Sweating.
So there's this beautiful midrash that is spoken about at the very beginning of this of Parashat Matot-Masei, which is about the travels of the Jewish people, that Rashi brings in, and it is talking about a king whose son became ill, and the king whose son became ill, the king is taking him on a journey to heal him, and he's on the way back from his being healed. They pass all the different places that they had passed all along the way. And the king says to the son, do you see? This is where we slept on the way going. And this is where we cooled off from the heat in this place. And this is the place that you had a headache. And this is how they're going through the different places that they go to. And the Midrash says this is like God saying here in this week's Parsha to Moshe, remember, enumerate all the different voyages of the Jewish people that they had from when they left Egypt all the way until now, when we're on the plains of Jericho, right about to enter into the land of Israel, right across from the Yarden. Enumerate all those travels. And as we go through each of the travels, talk about the travels where the Jewish people angered me. And some of these places are, and all of these places are spoken about. And when we talk about, like, the king saying this, it's one thing that hit me was so, which the Rebbe actually brings out, that's so powerful. The king is saying, this is where we travel together. This is where I led you. This is where I brought you, he's saying to his son. He's not ever saying, this is where you went alone. Meaning even the places where the child angered God, even the places where we've gone against God, where we did not do the right thing, where we complained for the water, and we complained for the meat, and we complained, the entire time we're complaining and complaining, God is still with us. God is still holding us. God is still at our side. At no point did God say, you went alone. God is like, this is where we went. And the king is leading him even into those places where the child is making the mistakes. And this is like the journeys that we have in our own lives, that sometimes we've made mistakes and sometimes we've done things that were wrong. But God is still at our side. We should never feel, as we're going through a challenge, like I'm in it alone. No one's helping me. And sometimes we do feel that loneliness. It's no, God is holding us. And even you might think, well, okay, but I made the wrong turn. Now God abandoned me. No, God never abandons you. God is there with you. In fact, it says that the Jewish people, there was really 3 journeys that they needed to make when they left Egypt. The first journey was from Ramses to Sukkot. The second one was from Sukkot to a place called Esam. And the third place was from Esam to Pi Hachirot. And after that, it says, they could have gone straight. Once they experienced the splitting of the sea, they could have gone straight from there into the land of Israel. But they needed to go through all the 42 journeys because of all the mistakes that we made. And we know that they stayed there for 40 years because of all the mistakes that we made. And yet each of these places that God is enumerating in this week's Torah, that Moshe is enumerating in this week's Torah portion, they're not the first 3. They're not the first 3 that the Jewish people needed to go. Okay, we understand that we need to go through some journeys in life to toughen us up, to make us experience life, to bring us out, to bring us to our best selves. So those were the first 3. Then from there, they could have gone straight into the land of Israel. So you might think, well, after those 3, it was their fault. It was their fault. They complained. It was their fault. That's why they had to go for 40 years around and around and around in the desert. And so you say, okay, it was our fault, so God's not with us. But no. God is asking Moshe to enumerate all these places that I led you, that the king led his son, because he led him through those places in order that the son should become well again. So that the sick son now has a certain level of greater spirituality. Now he's healed. He's no longer what he was then. He's a different person. He's a new person, a more spiritual person. And that's what all the journeys that we have in our own lives are part of those journeys that God leads us and is holding us so that we can become the people that we are meant to be. So that our soul, which is beautiful and shining from the beginning, becomes even more something that we become a complete person who is on this aliyah, this level of ascent, this elevated individual. Now, if we look at those 3 places that the Jewish people went to, it says they went from Ramses to Sukkot, and that's why the king says, here we slept, because after traveling from Ramses to Sukkot, they were tired, so they slept. And then they went from Sukkot to Esam. And in Sukkot it says, why was it called Sukkot? Because God took the Ananei HaKavod, the clouds of glory, and every time that the Jewish people traveled in the desert, these clouds of glory went with them. And they surrounded them and protected them. And they cooled them off from the hot sun that was in the desert. It's a very hot sun. And they protected them from all the sides, from all the thorns, from all the things that are in the wilderness. So the second thing that the king said is, here is where we cooled off, refers to that place from Sukkot to Esam. That's when the clouds of glory started to accompany them throughout their travels. And then it says that they went from Esam to Piachirot. Piachirot was the first time that they said, we want water. There's no water here. They complained. And that's why the king says, and that's where you had a headache. That's where you had a headache, meaning you were asking, you were complaining for something. And it's interesting, that's why the king says, we went, this is where we slept, this is where we cooled off, but this is where you had the headache, this is where you had the choice, you were the ones that were complaining here. And yet, those were the first three that they needed to go through, but enumerated in this parsha is all the places, all the 42 journeys. So it wasn't only those first three, even though you chose, you had the choice to make the right decision or not. You were the ones that chose to have the headache, so to speak. You were the ones that made that fuss. You didn't need to go through all those lands, but all those travels. But you chose that, and nevertheless, I was with you, and I was with you, and that was part of the plan of why you needed to go through it. It seems like, you had free choice, and you did have free choice, but in the choosing that you chose, this was part of the plan to really rectify you, to really make this tremendous aliyah, this tremendous elevation, to become the person that you would be. And this is so true in all of our lives. We go through things, and sometimes we fail, and sometimes we beat ourselves up for failing, and we have to look back at even those failures, as this was part of the grand plan to get me to be the person that I'm supposed to be, even when I failed. Because God is there holding me, God is there taking care of me, God is there walking with me and leading me through all those lands. And now I just want to talk a little about those three things that God talks about. The sleeping, this is where we slept, this is where we cooled off, and this is where you had a headache. And I want to apply those to our own personal lives and the journeys that our soul goes through in our own journey, in our own journeys of life. And the first thing is, this is where you slept. When you think about sleep, it says sleep is 1/60th of death. That's what it says. Sleep is 1/60th of death. When you're sleeping, you're not fully conscious, you're not fully aware. And that is compared to the soul coming from that place of awareness, that place of godliness, that place where it originates into this world where it's like a sleep. We don't see God, we don't feel God. It's unless we actually look and search out for God, it's not all encompassing, it's not all around us. So this is the part of the soul, I think what God says, there we slept, meaning God constricted his self in this world. He concealed himself in this world, just like we spoke about the window, and we cover the window. God is sort of covering his light in order to create this world where God is not so apparent. God is not so obvious in this world because he's covered. He put the shades down. You don't see the sun. It's there, but you don't see it. You don't feel it. It's covered. That's the place of sleep, that the soul comes into this world, and this is the place of gvura, which means restriction, strength and restriction. God has constricted his light. God has concealed his light. Just like the shade, it covers the light. This covers the light of God. That's the first thing that the soul experiences here in this world in order to become stronger, in order to shine more and more. The second thing is, there you cooled off. And what this means is that even though God is concealed in this world, there's got to be places where we can actually see God, that we can feel God, that God lets in his light, because otherwise, if it was completely concealed, we wouldn't feel it, right? And the cooling off is where the gvura, the constriction, the strength, the strong attribute is tempered with rachamim, which means mercy. So God's strength of constricting and concealing himself is also mixed in, it's cooled off with the feeling of rachamim, which is mercy, which makes us able to see God in our world. So our world is a place of concealment. It's like that shade that's on the window, right? Think of that shade where the sun can't get through, but imagine like a little peak in the bottom, right? Imagine a little hole at the bottom where you can feel the sun. So God is still in this world. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to make choices. And that's what God is saying. There you cooled off. I let some of my light in so that you can make a choice. And the third thing that God says is there you had a headache. And when we think about the head is what makes choices, right? The head is where we make decisions. And God is saying, you now have the ability to use your head to make these choices in this world. Your neshama, your nefesh elokit, the godly soul, the animalistic soul, both of them have to work together, and you're going to use your seichel, your head, your brain to make choices. You're not just going to be overcome with passion and with instinct and just doing things out of instinct, but you're actually going to be making the choices. That's where you make the choices, God is saying, because you have free choice. Here is where you're going to make your choices. So the soul is coming into a place of sleep, a place where you don't feel God, but it is being cooled off in the sense that it has some of God there, some of God's light shining in there. And then here's where you make your headache. This is where you're using your head to make your choices and to determine and to be a discerning individual to determine what kind of life you want to lead. So this is what every person experiences, each and every one of us experiences in every journey that we're going through. We're going through a journey, we're going through a challenge, we're going through a difficulty. The first time we feel like we're asleep, meaning it feels like it's all black, we don't see it. You go through a challenge and you don't know where to put yourself because you feel so overcome with this blackness. And then God says, I'm cooling you off. In the challenge, you feel like it's all black. There's a little whiff of cool. You don't have to feel completely like you're completely overcome. There's these revelations of God. There's these little winks that God gives you. Even in the blackness, there's these little hints that God says to you, I'm here for you. Okay, and then you can make the decision with your head of how you're going to use that challenge to become the person that you want to be. And even when you fail, God says, even when you fail in those challenges, remember, I'm holding you. Just like that king is holding the son and showing him, bringing him to a place where he's getting healed. I'm with you. You're not alone. God is with us, and God is helping us to become the people that we're meant to be. And through all this, God is helping us on a personal level, each and every one of us through our own challenges that we're going through, and also collectively as the Jewish people. God is holding our hand. We're experiencing some times of challenge, some times of blackness. We see the blackness very clearly. We don't have to elaborate. We were just praying for the end of the blackness. And yet we also see the cooling off. We see the miracles that are also happening at the same time as that blackness. We see so many miracles around us. And now we make that decision on our own to become the nation of God, to become the godly nation, and to bring more godliness into the world. And with that, we end the Parsha, which is right at the end of Yericho, right with the smelling. We're smelling Mashiach in the air, that we can smell the godliness almost in the air. And we're ready to really finally accept Mashiach and go forward into the Holy Land and into the redemption.
Wow, that was